Hi, friends. This is the reading lesson for third grade. We are going to read a story today called The Longest Wire. It is on page 10 in your Unit 5 booklet. You need a pencil and a highlighter. Today this story is an informational social studies text. So we're going to learn real information, nonfiction about something that happened in the past. And we've been learning about inventors and inventions. So this is just another informational text about that. So as we read, I want you thinking about some questions. The first question is, what was invented in 1884? What difficulties did our inventor have with his invention? And how did this invention help people communicate? After we do that, we will go back in our story and highlight words that have the vowel, consonant, long E, or long vowel pattern. So it's vowel, consonant, silent E pattern. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So if you are ready, here we go.
Word, study, read. Remember to annotate as you read.
The longest wire. Before the invention of the telephone, 1876, the telegraph, 1844, let people communicate across great distances. Wires carried signals over land and across state lines. Communication across the Atlantic Ocean was a different story. Letters took weeks to arrive from overseas. Businessman Cyrus Field imagined a time when a message from North America would reach Europe in just one day. Could one telegraph wire stretch across the whole Atlantic Ocean? Many thought it wasn't possible. Field was sure it was. Inventors made a strong cable that could carry the signals. Marine scientists mapped a route across the ocean floor. Engineers built machines for steamships to carry and lay miles and miles of heavy wire. In 1857, two ships set out to lay the wire. The cable snapped 200 miles from shore. Field tried again in June of 1858. This time, a huge storm nearly sank one of the ships. Plus, the cable broke again. That same summer, Field tried yet again. This time, everything worked. Field himself rowed ashore to make the final connection. America and Europe were joined. People celebrated with parties and fireworks. It had taken 12 years for Field's dream to come true. When it did, people could share news across the ocean almost instantly.
All right. So we learned about a businessman named Cyrus Field, and he knew that it was possible to communicate overseas. And he knew that he could do it with wires. And people didn't necessarily believe him, but he was sure it could work. So, what was invented in 1844? It was, of course, the telegraph. So, we're not highlighting. Sorry, friends. Don't highlight yet. If you did, it's okay. But we are actually going to use our pencil. So, the telegraph was invented in 1844. Now, as Field is starting to work on this wire that is going to stretch across the Atlantic Ocean, he ran into some trouble. I want you to underline the two things that happened in paragraph 3 that caused him some trouble as he was trying to do this job. Okay, so the first time it says in 1857, the cable snapped 200 miles from shore. So they got pretty close, but then the cable snapped and broke, okay? Then in June of 58, a huge storm nearly sank one of the ships, so it almost sank, and the cable broke again. But then in that same summer, a little bit later, Field tried again and everything worked. Okay. So now let's think about this. Thinking about how people used to communicate in the olden days is really crazy to me because now communication is so easy. If you have a phone or your parents have a phone, you can communicate with anybody around the entire world pretty much anytime you want. My brother lives in Germany and I can text him or call him anytime I want. Now, that wasn't always the case. Remember, in the 1800s, they couldn't even talk from North America to Europe, right? So that they would have to send letters and they would have to go on ships. So it's so crazy to think about this kind of stuff. But without these really smart inventors, we would not be where we are with our phones today. So how do these wires help people communicate? So it says in paragraph 1 that wires are carried signals over land and across state lines, right? So that's how it was before Cyrus Field started figuring out how am I going to do it from Europe to North America. And then once he did solve this problem, if you look in paragraph 4, what were people able to do? It says people could share news. Whoa. Could share news across the ocean almost instantly. Almost instantly. So, still, after this, there were still things to be done to make it how it is today. Obviously, that was a long time ago. But he was the beginning of it. He said, I know we can do it, right? Pretty fascinating, I think. Okay, what we're going to do next is I want you to put your pencils down and we are going to grab our highlighters. And we are looking for words that have the vowel, consonant, and silent E. So it's really important. There's going to be some tricky words in here. Some of the words will have the long E or the silent E, but will not have a long vowel sound. For example, the word shore right here. This one has the O-R-E, but it's an R controlled vowel. So it says or. I need the vowel to say its name. So it would have to something like miles. The I says its name. Here's my consonant and then my silent E. That makes the I say its name, okay? So you got to be really careful. You're looking for the vowel, consonant, E pattern, as well as making sure that vowel says its name. I found 25, including repeats and the title. Go ahead and pause the video and see how many you can highlight. Okay, friends. Did you find all 25? Did you find more? Because you know sometimes I miss some. All right, let's get started. So we have to start with the title, wire, of course. So every time you see a wire or wires, you know you're going to highlight that. Okay, there are quite a few in paragraph 1. So let's get started. It says, before the invention of the telephone, the telegraph let people communicate. So communicate, such a long word, but of course it ends with that silent E. Across great distances. Wires, again, carried signals over land and across state lines. So state and lines right there. Communication across the Atlantic Ocean was a different story. Letters took weeks to arrive from overseas. Businessman Cyrus Field imagined a time, so there's the word time, when a message from North America would reach Europe in just one day. Could one telegraph wire stretch across the whole ocean. So as I was reading this paragraph, I had to really think about some of these words. For example, the word message, it has the vowel consonant E, but do you hear the A sound? Message. No, we don't. Also, imagined. Imagine has the vowel consonant E, the I-N-E, but you don't hear the I say its name. Okay, so you have to be super, super careful. Same thing with Europe. Europe is not pronounced Europe, right? So the E does not make the O say its name. All right, let's keep going. Paragraph 2. Many thought it wasn't possible. Field was sure it was. Again, sure doesn't work because the U doesn't say its name. Inventors made a strong cable. Also, cable's kind of confusing because it has the E, but there's two consonants there that could carry the signals. Marine scientists mapped a route across the ocean floor. So again, root has that magic E, but it has two vowels here. So that one is kind of a rule breaker. Engineers built machines for steamships to carry and lay miles and miles of heavy wire. So we have some repeated words here. So miles and miles and wire. All right, paragraph 3. In 1857, two ships set out to lay the wire. The cable snapped 200 miles from shore. Field tried again in June of 1858. This time, a huge storm nearly sank one of the ships. Okay, again, one, it has the pattern, vowel consonant E, but the E does not make the O say its name. Plus, the cable broke again. That same summer, Field tried yet again. This time, everything worked. Field himself rowed ashore to make the final connection. America and Europe were joined. People celebrated. This one's kind of hard to see because it has the D on the end, but in the celebrate, eight is right there with parties and fireworks. So part of the fire right in the beginning of the word. Okay, one more in paragraph 4, and it is super tricky. So it had taken 12 years for Field's dream to come true. When it did, people could share news across the ocean almost instantly. So in this one, it's actually the word taken because we have the word take, right? And so that's the vowel consonant E. There are some other ones that you might get a little confused by. Come, but the O doesn't say its name. People, but there's two consonants. Share, this is an R controlled vowel. Okay, so lots of those in there that look like they could possibly be, but they're not. All right, friends, that is all 25. I hope you got them all. And if you didn't, I hope you finished with me. That's it for today, friends. We'll see you later.